and then you should be good.
Perfect. All right, cool. So even if you miss stuff today, you'll be able to go back and look at it and look it up. So with that, Lindsay, I'll let you take over and do what you gotta do.
So I was writing step by step, kind of like what Molly did with her Adobe Spark. I was going to do that I was doing that for Photoshop and Premiere, and then Word decided to crash on me. So after this, later on today or tomorrow, I'll try to get you a PDF of everything we talk about in addition to this recording. But first off, I'm going to share my screen with you. And I'm going to share this one. And I'm going to open up Adobe Photoshop. Right now you're seeing, it's opening up right now. Right now you're seeing my my external monitor screen, so I'm going to drag everything to that one. Can everyone see the screen? Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So right now on the screen, actually I should. Sorry. Because the screen is right there. So when you open up Photoshop, this is the first screen that you come to. So what you want to do is you're going to want to say create new, and what will pop up is a window like this. I already have presets in there because there's different things that I was already working on. I usually work off a document if it's for like Twitter or the main rotator. I usually go off of 1000 by 525 because those are the dimensions. That will work for Twitter as well. But let's say you want to make something for Instagram. I find what works best is 1000 by 1000. So I'm going to put that in there right there. You can leave 72, the resolution 72, that's fine. I usually leave the background white. You can always take the background off when you're inside it as well. So just hit create. I'm gonna make that a little smaller. So now we have our palette and we can design however we want to. The first tool that I will bring up is the very simple text tool. That's probably the thing that you guys are going to be using a lot. So right now I'm already highlighted on the text, but say I wasn't, say I was highlighted. Text tool right there. I just come to my document, I make it as big as I want. And then right now it's small, comes out small, but I can easily change the font here so I can see it. Don't worry, the gibberish will go away when I type something. So let's say Simmons test. Actually, let's click on volleyball for a bit. So all I did, that's me just moving it up in line like that. That's just a quirk of mine. I like to kind of keep things all precise. And then so right now that I wrote what I wanted to write, I come to the layer panel, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. I just hit that, and right there, my first layer is named. I can go and rename it if I wanted it, but I'm going to leave it as Simmons Volleyball. And it's important to label your layers, because if you have a ton of layers in the document, you're going to forget which one is what, and you're going to spend more time trying to figure out which one is what. So let's say I want to make Simmons Volleyball a little bit bigger. Very easy way to do that is I do Command or the Alt, if you're on a non-Mac, T, and you see how the blue box outlines, and I can change the dimensions of it. But let's say I want to keep the same constraints. Shift, shift, and then I can move it around as I want. Make it as big as I want, make it small. You can go from there. So I have that, and okay. Well, right now the color is black, but your guys' colors are blue and yellow. How do I change that? That's the next question. Well, right 5 below the text box tool is, you'll see down here, foreground and background color. Right now it's set to red. If I just click that, I'll get this box right here. And this is where I can change the background to whatever color I want. So technically, Simmons will probably have specific hex numbers, which is this right here down next to the number sign. And you can get that from either the University of Communications, or Molly may be able to have that as well, because she's worked with it. And all you got to do is, it's a 6-digit number, 6 digits combined between numbers and letters that will make up your color. I know off the top of my head, white is FF, 6 straight Fs, and black is 6 straight zeros. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just gonna go find a color close to yours. So that's the foreground. That's gonna, your foreground, you want to keep to your primary color, and your background you want to keep to your secondary color as much as possible. And you can flip them if you say, oh, I want to make the yellow the foreground color because I want to do stuff with the yellow. You can just switch that. But for this purpose, it doesn't matter. So now that I have my color set, I can go and I can change the font. So what I'll go back to my layer panel, click on that. And let's say I was not in the text. I just have to reselect the text tool. Go here, highlight, and then that's the color. That's what's dictating the color of the text. Click on that. And then, so I want it to be my primary color. If I come out of this screen, you can everyone see that there's an eyedropper over the blue? I just do that, it automatically will come up with the blue that I want. And, now Simmons volleyball is in blue. And a couple things that I like to do. So a couple things I like to do to dress things up a little bit more is, I like to add some drop shadows and make things, I'll talk about drop shadows later. So the next thing on my list that I will go over is that kind of dress things up is making a background image. A lot of the things that I like to do is I like to put a background of something on the campus, whether that's the fields, the facility, whether it's the pool, the facility, an overview of the facility, something that kind of really makes my team, that really defines my team. So I like to find that image, and when I find that image, which I found, I found that image. It was on my desktop, but I'll pretend that was in my folder. I'll just drag it. So it's this folder that's highlighted that says Brown Team, and I'll drag it onto here. So, and then I'm going to do exactly what I said before. now I like to have it take up the majority of the template. So Command Alt T and then Shift to make it bigger. So now I can't see the Simmons volleyball. Well, that's because in the layers panel, which is over here, everything that's on top, it's all top down. Everything that is on top is going to be on top of the photo. So if I move this down to behind Simmons softball appears. One of the things I like to do is, and then I can come around over here and I can change the opacity. You know, this is going to be part of the back, this image right here is going to be part of the background. So I don't want that to stand out as much. So I'm going to lower the opacity. And as you can tell, when I lower the opacity, it decreases, it makes things makes it a little lighter. And you just kind of play around to see what you like. And the same with the fill. You take it around, see what you like. Another thing that I like to do if I don't want the color in it, because maybe I want to keep the school colors or any of that, what I will do is I'll change that to black and white. So what I'll do is I'll go up to Image, Adjustments, Black and White. Just click OK. I don't even know what half of that stuff stands for. And it goes down to black and white. So in anything, yeah. And then you can still play around. If you want to change the opacity on that, you can change it. So kind of dresses it up a little bit. And then so then the next thing I do that really kind of increases your presence on, social media, kind of ups your graphics, is adding a geometric shape. So the geometric shape is found along the panel of tools, and it's 2 below the text tool. And let's say, right now it's set to a rectangle, but if you didn't want a rectangle, you right click and you can come up with any of the tools you want. You can do a triangle, you can do an octagon, whatever you want, a circle. I'm going to leave it for now as a rectangle. And then and right now the rectangle is a preset. The rectangle is going to be blue because the color up here is blue. If I wanted it to be yellow, I could just switch it there, but I'm going to keep it blue. And then what I do is I come over here and I start to draw my rectangle and what size I want it. I'm like, okay, right now that's a good size. That's a good size for the rectangle now, but that's not exactly where I want it. So Command Alt T, and I can move it wherever I want in the document, and I can also change how it looks. So let's go with that. Make it bigger too as well. Make it bigger. So, all right, so now I kind of have what I want it to look like. Change that up a little bit. All right, so now I have generally what I want it to look like. And let's say one of the things I get a lot from coaches is what they really like, especially now, is making the recruit graphics. And they really want their recruit to pop. So, and this is one of the ways you can make it pop as well. So, so let's say we have our recruit. That's on my other desktop. And you know, she's going to be coming in for the fall. And you know, I want to announce that. But right now, she's ahead of it. If I bring her underneath my rectangle, the rectangle is now above her and now is blocking her. But one of the things I like to do to make things look pretty cool is I'll change the opacity. I'll change the overlay. Right now it's set to normal, and what normal does is, normal is a simple text box. I'm going to change it. You know, it's just a simple box. I usually like to use, make sure you're selecting the rectangular, the geometric image for that. I usually like to, you can play around with it, which ones you like. I usually like to use the linear burn. I think it just looks pretty cool. And I'll just change the, and there's different types that you can use. But right now, you can see that it doesn't really look very good because you still have her in blue, but you still have the regular outside of the image right here showing. Well, how do you get rid of that? Very simple. Right click. So go to your layer, make sure you're in your layer panel, and make sure you right click and go to create a clipping mask. Oh, forgot the most important part, the duplicate layer. Sorry, what I just did there, and I'm sorry about that, is that I had to copy the first clip. I had to copy the first geometric shape and make another one and change that back to normal. So it would come out as, it would get rid of the outside of the outsides, and now you're just left with her image and her face. So, you know, that's pretty cool, right? That's, you know, that's pretty basic, but it definitely does enhance the product you're using, and it's one of the easiest things to do. I'm somebody, I don't use a lot of cutouts because I don't like to cut out the athlete. It takes a lot of time. And I also think sometimes it doesn't, unless you can really have the time to really, you know, massage that image, I don't think it looks the best. I feel I can do a lot with the clipping masks as I did there, and, you know, putting some more drop shadows and some more some different option on it, which right here. under the function of X, and you can bring up a whole bunch of things you can do, whether that's in you can create a drop shadow on it. I have to move this over here. Yeah, you can create a drop shadow. Right now it's drop shadow on the box. If you can see, as I move this bar, you can see a little drop shadow coming up underneath it. And you just kind of play around with it, and the more you play around with it, the better you're going to get, and the different things that different things you'll be able to do, and the more comfortable you'll be with it. So now I have, I have that look. I have that look at it. Kind of went over that. Can add different things to it. So, now, one of the things that I would do is I would always try to, especially keep things consistent with you, with the coaches and between the fonts. So if the university has a specific text, and after talking to Molly, they do stick to using the primary font, which is in industry, and Molly has that font, and she can send it to you. But other text fonts that you may want to use to dress things up, there's a bunch of them out there online, and I usually like the Shockwave, something that makes it look good, that makes things stick out. Place it where you want. Then you can always just make some, go back down here, add a different type of outer glow to. I'm adding an outer glow to it right now. It makes things, it makes things pop. Looks pretty. Makes it look better. And the more things you can do, the more things you can think of, the more. Actually, one of the ones I like, one of the effects I like the most is, that I use the most, is the stroke. Gives it a kind of makes it pop, pop a little bit. And then, so that's kind of, playing around with that sort of stuff kind of makes it, have fun with it. That's how I learned how to do, the bulk of the stuff on social media. A lot. It's just playing around with it, and that's why I thought I'd bring in the clipping masks to you guys, so you guys can play around with it, and then any additional things you want, you can do as well. And one of the things that and if you really are feeling adventurous and you want to add something, and you can add some different textures, and it's simple. You do a Google search on the different textures you want. You type in Photoshop textures, you find one that you think is pretty cool. I found one that I have. It's called Dirty Grunge. I just drag it, and I drop it right on the photo. And you can drop it anywhere, but what you really want is to put it over the background so it doesn't go over your image. So you want to bring it all the way down under and just put it over your background photo. And right now you can see that that is taking up. Now you can't see the background photo. Very simple. Just go over to the opacity, lower that, and now you have little chain. Just drops it down, it gives it a different feel. And then there's more things that you can just add to it. So let's pretend it was a recruit graphic that we were doing. And it's just, just gives a different feel, and you can put, whatever you want on there. And let's say, I did all this, I went through, and now I really don't like it saying, Simmons volleyball up there anymore, and I kind of want to change that. If I go over to my layers panel, in my layers panel, I see this little eye. If I click on that eye, that disappears. Anything that has an eye next to it means it will show up in the document. I can move that back up. And then that way, you're pretty simple. You can throw some different effects onto it. Which ones you like. And then see what you want. If you have a hashtag, I usually like to include a hashtag. So our hashtag, it's have a hashtag, do that. And you can put that down in the bottom corner. I usually like to change the, decrease that. Kind of put it up. And kind of look good. The less writing that you can have on a graphic, the better it's going to be. So all you want to do, because the graphic is going to speak for itself. So the less you can have, the better. And then let's say I'm pretty happy with this I'm pretty happy with this document. And I think I want to save it. I want to save it. I'm ready to publish it to Instagram. I'm ready to publish it to Twitter. Just go up to File, Save As, save to your computer. I'm just going to save it to the desktop. And save it. You want to save it as a JPEG. And then you're going to get this box. Sometimes, depending on how big the document is, Twitter's not going to really accept it. I always find if I decrease the quality to 10, it looks the best. And then that's it. And that's pretty much it. That's a pretty simple thing to do to dress it up. There's other things you can do, such as adding such as adding layer masks. But I think the couple things that you want to start to do if you're unfamiliar with Photoshop is start small. Start with some of this stuff. Some of this stuff. So start with the clipping mask. Start with the backgrounds and playing around with the backgrounds. Any questions about Photoshop?
Lindsay, I have a question. If you hold on, Sonny. If you do it as like an Instagram, if you do it as an Instagram, and I already forget what the 1,000 by 1,000, I think you said.
Yep.
Can you stop for a second? If you change it, if you want to then change it for something else, for Twitter, or Twitter, you can use the same size. Sorry.
You can use the same size.
Okay, and if you needed to change the size, if you just change the size, does it change everything for you, or you have to go in and recreate it?
You will have to go, so I can actually show you right now. If I go up to image and I go to change canvas size, let's say I want to change it to make it more horizontal. The new canvas size is smaller than the current size. Some clippings will occur. So it does all you'd have to do in this situation is if you select, so you go over to your layer panel and every shift and just select everything here and then do Command Alt T. You can change up to, well, that didn't work. Oops. You will have, yes. So I think it was Erica that asked this question. I think you would just have to change the different. Don't worry about that. It won't affect you. You will have to change the different sizes a little bit and change where they are in the document. But once you have everything, it's just replacing it in the document. It's not anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's not anything that's difficult. It's just replacing it in the document. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. I think the bulk and the toughest part is, in my opinion, is coming up with the idea that you want in actually doing it. And a lot of the times there's times that if I want something done, I want to do something, like I want to make a welcome to ribbon, and I didn't know how to make a ribbon. So I Googled it, and there's a YouTube video that actually taught how to make a ribbon in Photoshop, and I looked that up. But I know sometimes you may not have the time to do that. Doing something as simple like this that we just did, goes a long way. And the more you play around with it, the better you get. It's just like anything in athletics. The more times you do things, the better you're going to get at it. And then I think one of the things that I like to do is I like to look at what other typographics schools are doing. In your cases, I'd stay away from looking at one of the best graphics person in the business is Mark Majewski. He's with the Bruins. He's just, the stuff he does and the creative stuff that he does is just insane. I stay away from trying to do the things he does because I just can't do what he does. But some of the other stuff, some of my other colleagues in communications I'm like, oh, I really like what you did there. I'm going to try to recreate that, or I'll maybe ask for that template if they're willing to give it, and then try to copy that template. So it's sometimes I just look around. I look around online and see what I like, and see what looks pretty good. Any more questions? All right. And then the second one that I was going to do today is a quick Adobe Premiere. I don't know how many of you are using Adobe Premiere, or if you even plan to use it. The only thing that I've used it a lot for is just different videos, whether that's doing a sights and sound video or interviews, or so. For you guys, if you guys wanted to film yourselves welcoming your group of first years to campus, or put together a little video of your teams, that's something you could use it for, and it's very simple. And I'm going to show you just the basics. So I'll open up Premiere. Give it a second. And one of the things that when you're opening up Adobe, and I have it running right now, as you can probably see, I have both Photoshop and Premiere open at the same time. That's not advisable. A lot of the Adobe products take up a lot of memory on the computer, so it's not advisable to keep them open at the same time. And when you first open Premiere, it will take a while, as you can see there, but you will get a screen like this. I just moved that onto this bigger screen, so yeah. It will be bigger than that, but I just moved on to the bigger screen because that's what it is. And I don't know why it's not changing the dimensions. But when you guys open it, it will be different. So you want to start a new project. So when you say start a new project, you can leave it as untitled. You can save it later, or I'll just save it. You don't have to touch any of that stuff. Don't worry about it. And then click OK. And then right now you have, this is what you'll see. So say you filmed something on your phone, you downloaded it to your computer, or you uploaded it from your phone to your computer, and it was a quick interview. So you go to where it is on your computer, your MOV file or an MP4, and then what I do, very simple, I just take that MP4, the MOV, and I drag it right into this fourth of the screen. And it may take a little while. And then you can see here, let me start playing. Oh yeah, and when you do zoom, it records everything. And then you kind of play around.
To play great golf,
and then let's say,
anything that gets close.
Let's say there's a part
Closer to simulating that is very useful for a lot of our players. But then others will be on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. They're looking.
You cut that a little bit more, going a little.
It's the best in the business at what it does, and so
I have the clip that I want, and I drag it down to the timeline, and I drag it down to the timeline, and anything on this side is anything that's going to be in the video. Anything on this side is going to be in the video, and you can create it, and you can add music to it. I usually use YouTube royalty-free music, and I'll put it right down in this. I'll put it down there. And then as soon as I'm done there, I have any other type of video. If there's another part of the clip that I wanted to.
Kevin's been a great reference for everyone's tendencies and seeing the numbers.
Yeah, I can add another clip. And then one of the things that you should always do is anytime you have back-to-back clips, or always put some type of video transition. And I usually use the cross dissolve, and that way
does. And
Kevin's been a great reference for me.
That. So, you know, I didn't really go too in depth on Premiere just because I don't know how much you're going to use Premiere for. But I just wanted to give you a basic that's the basic things you can do with Premiere if you wanted to use it. I feel like you guys are going to utilize Photoshop a little bit more than Premiere, but just want to give you a little basic of it, and that Premiere is not as scary as you think. I learned it in less than 24 hours. So if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. And then once I have the video that I wanted, I'm ready to export it. So I go to File, Export, Media. When I go to File, Export, Media, I'll get this screen. And then I'll change the name to put it on the desktop. So whatever I want to name. I want to change the format. Why is that? For you guys, it should always be, if you've never opened up Premiere, it should already be set to the H.264. For me, it wasn't set to the H.264 because I did something in Premiere that I needed to export it as a PNG file. That's why it was up there on that. That's why it was up there like that. But so it should be H.264. You don't have to worry about that. Change the name of it there, and then quick export. And it usually takes, well, the longer the video and the more stuff you have down here in the layers, the longer it will take to export. And just like in Photoshop, if I put something on top, if I put some other clip on top of him, it will, whatever I put on top, whatever layer I put on top will appear. So it doesn't matter that this is still there. If she's on top, it's still going to be there. You know, but you know, another thing is if I'm unhappy, if I'm working on it and I think
closer to what I want,
the audio is too loud, which you can tell
again,
right
when
here.
we're dealing with degrees or even down to
if I think the audio is too loud or not loud enough, I can always up it by going into the Effects Controls panel. Make sure that I have that highlighted. And go to Volume. And I can change. Don't worry about it. I can change the volume however I want. And
opposite end of the spectrum.
You can
They're
tell
looking at actual launch direction. They're looking
and
at
you can
curve
tell that right
direction
there
and amount.
that it
They're looking
increased the
at
vol
spin
his
rates.
speaking.
They're looking at carry distances.
So I'm not sure if you guys would use anything with, if you'd be interested in using Premiere, but I just wanted to kind of give you a basic knowledge of it and basic tutorial of it. Any questions going forth with either Photoshop or Premiere?
Thanks so much for doing this, Lindsay. I think we all appreciate it. And I think the coaches will really be excited to play around with the Photoshop and make some, I don't know, fun, exciting graphics to use for some summer posts and all of that. So we really appreciate it. And thanks, Molly, for helping coordinate this too.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things. I was actually chatting with a former student athlete a couple weeks ago, and he was saying he was an assistant coach at a D3 school in New York, and he was saying he was trying to do. He just downloaded Photoshop and had no idea what to do, and he called me. He's like, "Hey, how do I do Photoshop?" And I'm trying to explain to him over the phone how to do it. I'm like, "Do you have time to hop on a quick Zoom and I can kind of step you through some things to do?" So that's kind of, and just kind of showed him. I showed him. We didn't do anything with Premiere. I kind of added that for you guys, and I don't know if you guys are going to want to use Premiere. That's why I didn't go into too much depth. I focused it more on Photoshop and different things you can do. So
I think Premiere might be a stretch for many of us at this moment and this point in time. So we'll probably start with Photoshop, but I think it's great because we do have some ideas with our small groups. One of them about the recruiting, like the videos that we were planning to get from student athletes. So, it might be a nice way for us to compile a couple different people's answer to the same question. And so I can see us using it, but it's going to take a little time probably, like you said, playing around with it and practicing with it.
Yeah, play around with it, and the more you do, don't be afraid to look at what other people are doing. That's what I did with when I did a GPA graphic. I actually looked at one Molly did, and kind of add my own spin to it, and then did that. And thank you for having me, and I appreciated coming in here, and hopefully I taught you guys something different, and then. I can't wait to see because I do follow you guys on social media. Can't wait to see what you guys do.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lindsay.
Thanks, Linz.
The rest of you, real quick, are you guys interested in me doing like a 5-minute tutorial on Adobe Spark as well? It won't take long at all. I have written out directions for you that Brooke followed and was able to successfully make something, but I figured giving you guys a visual might help as well. And it'll literally take like 2 minutes. So if you guys are up for it, we can do that as well. Lindsay, thank you so much. If you want to stick around for this, you're more than welcome.
Would you mind if I stick around for Spark?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though I had I looked at even your directions and I tried to kind of follow a little bit online, and if you have it on your computer, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So Adobe Spark is it's online. It's not something you download to your computer. Can you guys see that? My screen, okay. And you can make a bunch of different things. You can also make like posts for social media. You can make like photo collages, presentations, kind of anything online based you can make through this. I haven't kind of figured out all of them yet. But they have a bunch of templates. Some are free, some you have to pay for. So I've only been operating in the free version because I obviously don't want to pay for it. But there's plenty to do with the free version. And the one thing that I have found super helpful is making a web page, which is what Wick used to use for the Sharks newsletter that he did. And so what I've done for my program and what I would recommend if you guys are interested in doing it for your programs is I'm going to be sending out those monthly newsletters for recruiting via this web page, just because it looks It's very engaging, it looks really nice, and it's super easy to do. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Spark, Adobe Spark online, and you're gonna log in. The login is up in this corner. I'm already logged in. I don't know how to log out, so I was gonna do that, but I don't know how to do that. So when you hit login, you're gonna log in with a Google account, and then you're gonna put your Simmons credentials in, and it should get you into Spark. You should have access to it already via Simmons. The next thing you're gonna do is, I'm pretty sure when you log in there, it's either up top here or where mine is over here on the left, and you're gonna hit create a project. This is where you can pick whatever project you want. The one that I'm doing for the recruiting thing is a web page. Then it's gonna bring you to the template, and it kind of really is self-explanatory. It walks you right through everything. So you can add a title. So if I wanna do Simmons Lacrosse, for my newsletter, I did the date. And then I obviously want to add a photo behind that to make it look nicer. So you just hit the plus button, click photo, and it's gonna take you to, should take you to, it takes you to this over here. So they have photos you can use, but obviously we'll be using our own. So you're gonna upload photo. You're gonna pick, let's see, so say I want to use this picture of Emmy, and then it shows up. So now I have a cover, like this is almost like a Facebook cover photo for your webpage. So then you can add whatever you want. So in order to add things, you go down to the next. So basically you keep going down to the next plus sign until you're done with whatever you're wanting to make. So you can add a photo, you can add text, you can add a button, which is essentially like adding a link to this page. You can add video, a photo grid, a glide show, a split layout. So honestly, I would recommend just kind of playing with all of these. They're all very simple and self-explanatory to use. I have found that I like the glide show the best because it's a really smooth transition down the page. And so what you do is you upload a bunch of photos. So maybe you do a couple at a time. So maybe I do Zoe and Sammy and Sid. Can open all three of those, or I should be able to. So now I have these three in my glide show. And then I'm going to save it. So now when I scroll down, it transitions into the next picture that we have. So you can see that now there's these boxes on each picture. So this is where you can now add, you can put another picture in the picture, you can put text, you can put a button, you can put a video. So say on this one of Sammy, I want to put, you know, Sammy Hogan, sophomore nursing. Like say I just want to label like her, who she is and what her major is and how old she is. Maybe in Zoe's, I want to say, you know, I want to put a button to link our roster. So I go to our roster, I copy the link, I put the link in the, like where it says like the web page, but I want to call it, you know, Simmons 2020 roster. This is the alignment, so I want to put it in the center of the box, and then I'm going to save it. So now when they're scrolling through, if they want to see a roster, all they have to do is click this link, and that's not right, but anyway. So then you could edit anything. I mistyped. Save. So you can put as many things in each picture. So if I wanted to add another like photo within, I could upload a photo. say she was, I have this from LDV, say she was academic all district, I wanted to, you know, advertise that Zoe was that, I could put that in here as well, whatever you want. And then the other thing that like you could add is a video, which is one thing I've done. In order to add a video, you have to have it either uploaded to an Adobe program or YouTube. So I just created a YouTube account for my team just to make it easy. All you do is copy the link. You're going to embed the video here. You're going to save it. So now when they get to Sydney's page here, they can click this and watch our team introduce themselves. So say I did everything I wanted. The next thing that you're gonna do is you can preview it just to see what everyone else is gonna see. And as you go through, this is what they're gonna see when they click on this page that you just created. So you can be really creative with it. It's very easy. You just keep hitting the plus buttons until you have all your information on it. And then to share it, you're going to publish and share link. You're going to, they make you pick a category. It really doesn't matter what you do. I don't publish mine for everyone to see, so I unclick the Get Noticed button, and then I create the link. And so here's the link that you can send out. You can put it on your Facebook, Twitter. You can send it through an email. I haven't quite figured out the embed option yet. That's a little more complicated, but this is the link that you would use to share. And then anyone who clicks this link will have access to what we just saw.
Actually, Molly, can I interrupt for something?
Yeah.
The embed option is what I think is if you wanted to put it into a game story for like
yes,
spring. If you wanted to do that, I don't think you're going to do that much, but I think that, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted
no, you're
to
good.
clarify on that, but that's
what
what
just do?
I think the embed is on that. But
so yeah, so that's Spark. That's literally how easy it is to use. I know we're at time. The only thing that I didn't go over was how to like put it in your email. I don't know if you guys want me to do that, but it's also in the directions. It's pretty straightforward. Do you guys want me to do it real quick? It's kind of, okay, cool. So shoot, sorry guys. I can't click the plus button because it's screen sharing is in the way. All right, so I have the link. I copied and pasted it. Wait, go to this one. So now I'm gonna compose an email. This is how I send it out to my like recruits or whoever I'm sending for this. That's the link. So what I do is, and this is a little complicated, this is a little kind of roundabout way. I don't know if there's an easier way. But I'm gonna take a screenshot, which is, well, I don't know what it is for, I think Mac, there's just a button that you can push, but for Windows, you're gonna do the Windows button, Shift S, and you're gonna be able to highlight whatever you want to be your screenshot. Now I see my plus button. So for me, I want the header here to be kind of what they're gonna click on to get to my page. So that just copied this header. I'm gonna go back into my email and I'm going to paste it. Okay, so now when a recruit receives this email, this is what's gonna come up. I'm going to highlight this picture. I'm going to right click. Hold on. That's not what I thought. Oh, I'm gonna highlight and click this button here, which is to insert link. And then I'm gonna right click the highlighted picture and hit change. And now I can change it to my Adobe link that I have right here. I'm gonna put that here. Paste. Okay. So now if I were to send this email, I could say a little like, hey, click below for our recruiting newsletter. And now if I send this, if you see I just clicked on it, they won't have to do this extra step of like coming down here to click this link. They should just be able to click the picture and it'll take them to the newsletter page. Does that make sense?
Molly, that's awesome.
Any questions about any of that?
This is a million times easier than I would have guessed. Thank you so much for figuring out how to do it and teaching us. That's awesome.
Yeah, once you like play around with it a little bit, it gets even easier. It takes a few seconds to kind of figure out, but it's literally just follow the plus signs until you have what you need and then send it in an email. So
thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Lindsay and Molly, both of you guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Any other questions or anything else for any of you?
Oh, this is great. This is completely new to me. I've never done any of this before. So reassuring that it's not that challenging. Not to say that it's easy, but this is good. So thank you both.
Yeah, and happy to, if you get trying to do some of this stuff, happy to just call me if you need help or anything. And like Lindsay said, the YouTube tutorials for Photoshop and Premiere are super helpful too. That's kind of how I've learned. So if there's anything beyond kind of what she went over today. So, all right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Molly,
have a good Friday. What?
Can you email the PDF thing too?
Yeah, I'm going to email the recording of this, and then I'll email the directions that I did for Spark.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Molly.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.